This episode of The Reasons I'm Broke is brought to you by Audible.
Sign up today and get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia.
There's over 150,000 titles to choose from, all available on your Android device, Kindle, and iPhone.
Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to The Reasons I'm Broke, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
And this is episode number 120, the first one of 2015.
Woo! Happy New Year!
Happy New Year's to everyone. I hope you all celebrated really well. We put up a short clip on YouTube on what we ended up doing. We had a little get-together. We played some Super Smash Brothers and
Am I in
Mario
that
Kart.
clip?
You're not in the clip, but you're in the. You can hear. They can hear you in the background.
What was I don't remember.
It was just a lot of laughing.
Oh, okay.
Nothing to worry about.
I hope you all remember your New Year's, because I don't.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Rick from The Read Pile was there, Elle from The Read Pile as well, and then Scott from Lazy Gaming Guys. He came over. It was a really fun time, and from what I remember, I was having fun.
I remember it being great.
There were pictures on Twitter, Facebook. They're up there.
I don't remember anything after 11:30.
We did have our New Year's kiss.
Good. I'm glad.
And since we are sort of still on the tail end of the holiday season, there actually isn't a ton of news to discuss. So what we ended up doing is we asked a bunch of brokettes out there to submit their own questions that we can answer for this episode. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to do our best of 2014 lists, comic book based. So we are going to start with the questions from the brokettes. We really appreciate every one of them that was submitted, so we are going to include all of them.
First up from Twitter, at TailsFTGameGrid asks, top and bottom 10 movies.
This one we are narrowing down to 3. So our top 3 and our bottom 3, since we do have a lot of questions to get through. Mm-hmm. And that's Josh from Tales from the Game Grid. He has an online webcomic. He's been on the show before. Awesome guy. We're going to start off with our top movies and then go with our bottom.
First up, my number 3 movie, The Notebook.
I've yet to see it. I know how it ends, and I know the gist of it.
Right in the gut, man. Oh, it's so good, and it's so sad, and I just cry. Did I tell you the story of when I first saw it?
I don't think so.
I'm going to share this story briefly. So I was on a plane to India. I was, young. And I was really tired, so I'm watching this movie and I'm crying, and I'm thinking it's just because I'm tired, because I've been up for 24 hours at this point. Girls cry when we're tired. We're weird, right? So then I saw it the second time, a year or two later, and it just barely starts and I'm already crying, and now I can't even turn it on. And I'm just like, oh, the old people. It's a great movie.
My number 3 is Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Of course.
The best Batman movie of all time. Mm-hmm. It counts because it did come out in theaters.
Okay.
Great villain, based off of an older Batman villain, not named the Phantasm, of course, but they kind of reinvented that character. Spoiler alert, it ends up being a female. And then they use her again in the comics, but also in the Batman Beyond. It was actually technically Justice League, but it was the ending to Batman Beyond called Epilogue. Right.
Oh, man. That was great. She just came back in the comics, too. Mm-hmm. Batman Beyond this last year.
That's true.
Wonderful. My number 2 top 3 movie is Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. I can't tell you how many times I watched this movie.
When I met you, that was your favorite movie of all time.
Yes, it was. And I still love that movie. I know it's not the best, and all the sequels are horrible.
They are.
But I love this movie. It makes me feel so nostalgic. I can't wait to meet Jack Sparrow.
Just in real life?
In real life. I'm going to go to Disney and meet Jack Sparrow, and it's just going to be exciting.
My number 2 best movie of all time is City Lights.
Adorable movie.
That's a Charlie Chaplin film, my favorite one from Charlie Chaplin. Mm-hmm. It's a love story, so if people like The Notebook, you're going to love City Lights. It's way better than The Notebook. Not as good as The Notebook. And I haven't seen The Notebook.
Okay, spoilers from The Notebook, they die together because that's how much they love each other.
For City Lights, he gives up his entire livelihood to give this girl he loves eyesight. Just to be able to see again.
But did he die with her? No.
Eventually.
Did he give up his time to just read to her so she would remember him for a second and then go through pain oh man, I'm ruining it for you. Uh-oh.
Check out City Lights. It's amazing. Phenomenal. One of the best endings of all time for any movie I've seen. It's just gorgeous.
And my number one favorite movie is Pan's Labyrinth, or El Laberinto del Fauno.
Guillermo del Toro directed it, who is one of your favorite directors.
Yes. It is entirely in Spanish, in Spain Spanish, which is even more confusing. So, of course, I have to read the subtitles.
Even you'll ask me, and I'm like, there's some words in there that don't exist in Mexican.
If you guys haven't seen it, it's an absolutely beautiful movie. It has Dougie Jones in it, which you guys know is one of my favorite actors.
Oh, yes. He's so much fun. Guy.
He's so much fun. But it's an amazing story, and it's one of those that when you go back to look at it and to think about it, you pull something new from it every single time. It could be whatever you want it to be, essentially. It depends on what kind of ending you want. It could change day by day. Fantastic movie.
It's another example of what you can do with special effects with very minimal use of computer. Mm-hmm. Like the costumes on Doug Jones are phenomenal and they look so great on screen. Like it's the same guy playing different characters, different mythical creatures, and you can't tell just because the way he moves is so different for each one of them. It's just perfect.
And the Pale Man. Pale Man's one of the scariest things I've ever seen.
My favorite movie of all time, my number one pick is, of course, The Fountain. Mm-hmm. Darren Aronofsky, I enjoy all of his movies that he's released. And The Fountain, it's one of those that you have to watch more than once to truly understand and digest everything that's going on in it. It is ultimately a story of accepting one's death and even a loved one's, just an ending to it. And that's really all it is about, but there's so much diving into the character and into this relationship that he built. And then also it's a lower budget film, so when you see all these effects with space and all of that, they actually took microchemical reactions under a microscope and they filmed it. And then they worked it into the film for like the scenes where he's in space and all the nebula and all of that. It's amazing what they were able to pull off on a smaller budget because it initially was going to star Brad Pitt. Mm-hmm. And then when he dropped out and the movie was almost completely canceled and they brought it back, they said yes, but less money. And Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Oh, but Hugh Jackman's great. I love him way better than Brad Pitt.
Oh, hell yeah. I think he gave the performance of his life.
Oh, yeah.
In that movie. He's yet to top that. And I don't think I would have liked this better if it was Brad Pitt. I can't say because I haven't seen that other movie that never existed. But Hugh just nailed it so well.
Was that when you fell in love with Hugh Jackman?
I had seen him in Wolverine before, X-Men 2. But like that right there just legitimized him as he can do anything after this movie.
So you fell in love with him?
Fine, I fell in love with him. Whatever it takes. Yes, it's my favorite movie of all time. The Fountain. Check it out, but you do have to watch it more than once.
Now moving on to our bottom three.
This is where I think I'm going to lose a lot of listeners.
Yes, you're just about to. I'll just give my bottom three, and you can just give your number one of your bottom three.
The least controversial?
Yes, and then we'll be fine.
Okay, well,
they
need to know.
I would lose some friends with my list, but my friends don't listen, so I'll be fine.
I think I'll go first, because then you will lessen the blow with your choices.
Go ahead.
So my number three and bottom is The Avengers, and it's not for any reason that's like, it's a bad film. No, it's a fine action movie. But the thing is, we play it constantly at the comic book shop, so I see all the flaws in that movie. I didn't like it when it came out, so when you see that movie that you didn't like initially over and over again, and it's a long fucking movie. Like when we play it, I'm like, God damn it! I look up and it's like, shit, the Hulk is just fighting Thor right now. Like we're not even halfway done with this shit. It's just tiring, and I didn't like The Avengers, and just watching it over and over again has exponentially grown that dislike for the movie. It's an irrational thing, I completely admit it, but that is my honest number three. And it'll probably change in 5 years when 2 comes out.
Well, I'm sure. So my number 3 is Twilight. Just the first one, never saw any more than that. The problem is I loved the book. The books, right? No, I didn't really like the last one. Because she just kind of rushed through stuff, and she's like, and he can't be in love with her, so he's in love with her baby. And
Everyone needs to be happy.
This is real weird. But the first one, I loved it. I read it many, many times. I was just the right age when it came out, and I liked it before everybody else did.
Uh-huh.
Like, I had a friend who spent all her time in the library, and she goes, you need to read this book, because there's not really a plot. And the guy's kind of cool.
All right.
And I'm like, okay. So I read it, and I just loved it. And then I ended up reading all of them. And this movie was such a letdown.
Yeah, I saw it with you. And
It was so bad.
I'm just like, is this what the book's like? You're like, no, I swear, the book's much better. I'm like, uh-huh.
The book was much better. This movie was horrible. The only person that got right was her dad.
Okay.
He was a badass.
Just letting her daughter run
But
around.
But she was just like, oh, my life. I just, vampire. And he was not cute.
Mm-hmm.
Not cute at all.
I don't think the dad's supposed to be cute.
No, but I was talking about Edward. Because I was Team Edward, guys. For reals.
Okay.
Forget Team Jacob. He was even more super whiny. Like, why can't you just love me?
So was he like the Robin of Twilight?
I guess. And I was like, okay, calm down, Jacob. You got abs. You can find another girl. But he really wanted Bella.
That's very shallow of you. Like, you think he can just easily find one because he has abs.
Have you seen him?
So girls are that shallow?
Some are.
All right, you heard it, women. You're as shallow as we are.
I mean, it's true, though. It's the truth.
Okay.
Anyway, go on with your number 2. Fine, I'm done.
It's back on me now.
Okay.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Boo.
Yes, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And it's another irrational reason. I was dragged to all 3 of these movies. I had not read the books. I had zero interest in watching them. So this could have been like it could have gone either way. I could have really enjoyed them or I could have really disliked them. And I saw the first one and I did not care for the characters, did not care about their quest.
But the giant trees.
But I like the giant trees.
They're so
and
cool.
This all works into it. They've heard this story before. My friend told me, he's like, oh, you like the giant trees? And I was like, yeah, those things were cool. Like, the rest of the movie was shitty, but the giant trees were awesome. He's like, oh, well, they're in the second one. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, yeah, they're in it way more in the second one. Fine. We saw it, and I don't remember seeing any trees, and I was really upset. And he's like, you know what? I was thinking of the third one. In the third one, there's a bunch of trees, and they all fight, because in the final battle, they're in it. I was like, all right, fine. And then fucking saw the third one, and I don't remember any trees in there either.
There were definitely trees. There weren't any trees in the first
No
one.
tree monsters.
There weren't any trees in the first one.
Yes, there were tree monsters. Yeah, because they carry them on the shoulders, and they're taking them around.
Okay, then maybe it was the third one where there was a giant tree battle.
Maybe a little one. Like,
No.
there might have been a tiny one.
It was a giant tree battle, and there was a flood.
Anyway, they were barely in
And there
it.
was a guy who caught on fire and jumped from his window.
Okay, I do remember that.
I laughed so hard.
But the tree monsters, that's the whole reason I wanted to see these movies, and he fucking tricked me into seeing all 3, and I hated him.
I need to share some trivia with you, though, because I did enjoy the
Yes,
Lord
you
of the
did.
Rings trilogy. So in the last movie, remember when Frodo's going to heaven, elf land, whatever, and they're all crying?
Mm-hmm.
The one guy. I don't remember who. The guy who plays Pippin.
Okay, I don't know who these characters are.
Okay, whatever.
You're like a
that's fine.
Doctor Who fan that talks to me.
That's cool. Anyway, he's crying, and he had to pull a nose hair to get himself to cry.
Gotcha.
That's why it's my favorite scene of all of them.
And your number 1 worst movie of all time?
My number 2 worst movie of all time.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You skipping this?
These two your last 2 are similar.
They're not that similar. Anyway, The Hunger Games. Again, I only saw the first one. I never read the book, but I had, heard this movie talked up so much, and the book's great, And,
Even my friend Clayton loved the books, and he saw the movies. I don't know how he felt about them, but supposedly the books are awesome. I don't know.
Maybe I'll have to check out the books. I don't know. I saw this. I was angry at her because she chose Peeta and not Gale, and I just got angry from there. It was all about the love story for me. Because she was like, oh, you threw bread at me once, so I'm just going to be with you instead of my boyfriend.
My favorite scene is when he camouflages himself in the rocks, and I'm like, how the hell did he have time to camouflage like himself and make sure that he was perfectly blended?
Because he baked cakes? What was that from?
Yeah,
I feel like cake decorating was from something.
He wasn't even like a professional anything, and he just
No.
knew these things.
He just made bread and threw it at people in the rain.
But Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it.
This is true. This is
very
true.
briefly.
And it made money, and there's 2 more out, and maybe I'll just have to read the books.
Woody Harrelson was the best part of it.
Who
I
did
love
he play?
him. He was like the counselor, like the mentor of her, like saying that he won once. I don't know. But he was cool.
Oh, I know who you're talking
And
about.
also Lenny Kravitz.
Yes.
I just saw him as like the gay friend. I like those three characters. So
Okay.
I enjoyed Hunger Games more than Twilight. There's more I could.
Agreed. I did enjoy it
enjoy,
more
yeah.
than Twilight.
My number one is actually The Room, starring, directing,
you can't-
written by Tommy Wiseau.
No, that can't be your number one worst movie of all time. How much joy have you gotten from that movie?
I have, based on commentary, though, from other people, like the Nostalgia Critic.
But if we hadn't seen that commentary and just watched it, you and I could have made fun of it forever. How often do you use his quotes in texts that you send to me?
Pretty often.
I say, do you want pizza tonight? You say, whatever, I don't care. And then I say, I already ordered pizza. And you go, you think of everything.
You're my future wife.
And I love
you so much.
I love you like a person, like a human being. Even Bravest Warriors used, oh, hi, Mark, last month. If it weren't for that movie, none of this would exist. That commentary would not exist without this movie. So this movie cannot be the worst because without this movie, none of your favorite things would exist.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. That is...
Oh, hi, doggy.
Oh, hi, doggy. That is the acting. If you haven't seen The Room...
It's amazing.
Just go on YouTube. There's like a best of clips.
It's
You can
wonderful.
just watch the best
It's a great
stuff.
movie.
You think it's like a fake movie, but that's actually his fucking acting, and he's just shitty because it's a personal piece from this guy.
And he wrote a book about it.
And he was gonna write a book about it. All right, now we can do your number one.
No, but you gotta admit that that's not your number one worst movie.
Again, it's really, really bad. Like, it's
It
terrible.
is. It's horrible. It's probably the worst movie ever created, but it produced so many beautiful things.
And that's why it's my number one.
Hi. Okay, my number one worst movie ever, Batman and Robin.
The one that forever you would admit does not exist. You would never acknowledge it.
This, I don't even... What'd you type there? Batman and Robin. That's a movie?
Yes, it is.
When did that come out? Is that, like, based off the comics, which are really good?
It's based on the Heart of Ice
Not at
cartoon
all.
show, yeah. The origin of Mr. Freeze is taken straight out of Heart of Ice.
That movie is horrible. Horrible. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the only reason...
Here's the pitch. Batman and Robin, and we'll introduce Backer. What the fuck? But it'll be Mr. Freeze from Heart of Ice, and we'll use that origin. Oh, okay, what can go wrong? It'll be fine.
What can go wrong?
We see what goes wrong.
Nipples.
You even have
Nipples
a moment...
on suits.
Those have been there since Batman Forever. But his, like, little tear that gets frozen and then, like, flies off in the wind that's inside his room.
That was the only good part.
That was awesome.
But then there's, like, wax lips.
Apparently, Dini told him that they were supposed to turn into snowflakes. But I thought the scene was effective enough as it is. Yeah. But yeah, the wax lips and all that. Poison Ivy pretty much didn't serve a purpose in there. Bane was really worthless.
He just went, and then he died. That was it.
He didn't die. They just disconnected his tube.
He died.
'Cause that's always how they beat him. Yeah, it's a bad movie.
It's horrible.
Definitely bad. Definitely the worst
Is that the one where
Batman
they drove
movie.
up walls?
Yeah.
I heard he can drive up walls. Shut up, Joel.
That was great. That's Joel Schumacher was in an episode of Batman the Animated Series. He wears like a pink boa scarf thing.
He's underneath a sign that says Shoemaker.
Yep. And he's very flamboyant. And yeah, they pretty much give him shit the whole time.
That's fine. I approve of that.
So one question down. Next one is from Justin from Facebook, who asks, what do you think would be the number one reason people went broke this year? Games, comics, or movies?
So let's go ahead and hear yours first.
Yeah, this one wasn't too difficult for me, actually. Video games. Mm-hmm. This was the year 2014, actually. Now we're in 2015, but these were the games that released. We had Grand Theft Auto 5, Minecraft on the PS3 and the 360, Mario Kart 8, which sold better than Super Smash Bros., Destiny, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire on the same day as Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS. That day alone is a greater reason for people to be broke, because they had to either choose one game or the other, which Nintendo fanboys were not going to do. They went ahead and picked up both, and they were broke for a month or whatever. 2 weeks of paychecks gone, and they bought them both. Easily video games. They sold really well this year. Whatever your opinion is on how good the games actually were this year, it doesn't matter. Like, they did really well. And they're the most expensive thing. Like, I think, yeah, the video game industry is definitely bigger than Hollywood in terms of dollars.
Agreed. So, My answer, I also picked video games for everything that you said, but also Candy Crush.
Yeah, the mobile games.
Yes.
It really blew up.
How many of you spend money for one little heart when you could have just set the clock forward on your phone? Or you needed that train ticket.
Hearthstone is another one.
Yes, I know. I was addicted to Candy Crush for a while, and I had to stop, man. Oh, man, it was real bad. But I go down in the break room, and everybody's playing Candy Crush. There's, what's that new game now? Trivia Master? Trivia something. And I'm sure you can spend money in that, and they don't realize, yeah, sure, you got a $50 game that you'll spend once. But let's say you spend 50 cents every day for an entire month. There's your $50, and you're doing that month after month after month after month.
Never ends.
Never ends.
Until the addiction somehow quits.
Good job, mobile gaming.
Yeah.
Next, John from Facebook asks, which comic-related gifts did you get for the holidays? Mine is an inadvertent comic-related gift. I got a sewing machine.
You did?
So now I have to learn how to sew so that I can make myself costumes.
You've been wanting one for a while.
Oh, forever. This guy over here is like, no.
What's the first cosplay you're going to be doing?
Oh, man, there's so many I want to do. I would love to do Red Sonja in her woolly winter suit.
Oh, where she has like the cloak
Yeah.
and then she has the face paint on her.
Yes.
That was a great arc.
That was amazing. I would love to do Batgirl dressed as Robin from what we just had.
Yeah,
in
Robin Rises.
That would be so much fun. I want to do Starfire from what she would have been in Young Justice, because I think that's a great costume design. There's so many. I want to make you that Harley Quinn shirt that you want.
Yep.
I want to make you a Harley Quinn bowling shirt, and then I can dress as Harley Quinn, and then you can be my henchman.
Yeah, in the 2000 series for Harley Quinn, her hench people had like these bowling-style shirts, and they were black and red, just like Harley Quinn.
I'll make one for Jimmy. Mjimmy Palmiotti. He's always a mega gun.
Yeah, you should.
Oh, man.
That'd be awesome.
I gotta learn how to sew.
I'm sure he would. Yeah, he'd absolutely
Jimmy,
accept
what's
it.
your size? Send me your size. I'll make you a shirt.
I'll get at him on Twitter and find out. For me, I actually don't celebrate the December holidays, but I did get some stuff for myself, and actually my brother did get me a bunch of stuff. He got me a Batman visual history from DK Publishing. It's pretty much like an oversized hardcover book, and I think my family pitched in for it too. And yeah, from beginning to end, it's just the visual history of Batman, his villains, and I started flipping through it, and I was like, I gotta stop because I'm gonna be in this for a couple of hours. I'm not gonna look at that book again until I know I can dedicate an afternoon, because I'm not gonna be able to stop. Also, the Batman the Animated Series vinyl. It's the one with the bat symbol on the actual vinyl, and it's clear, and it's got the Batman logo on it. And also, Jacob, one of my friends from Facebook, he sent us the Harley Quinn one earlier this last year, and that one's gorgeous too. But that one's like a mini vinyl, and this one was a regular size one, yeah. And also, I'm sure you guys heard, I got the Thor frog statue for myself. If you haven't seen the unboxing for that yet, it is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thereansonsimebroke. There's also a link up on Nerd Up Media. But I love that statue so much. It's gorgeous. Like it's a life-size Thor frog statue. So it's a little bit small, but he's on a bark. It's really well detailed from Sideshow Collectibles. On the site, it's available for $100. My local comic shop had it for $130, so I'm not sure if shipping or if the price has actually gone up on them. But it was well worth it. We sold out of it initially, got it back in, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to take a chance of this being out of production again. So yeah, and I almost got number 616. The 616 universe from Marvel.
Okay.
That would have been awesome. I read the thing and it was 676. I'm like, oh shit. I thought it said 1. So I got slightly excited, but it's still a beautiful statue. So that's kind of the comic stuff that I was gifted and that I picked up in December. Next question is from Mike on Facebook, who asks, what are some of the best New 52 storylines? Great question. A lot of these have trade paperbacks available now, 1 through 4, 5, whatever they're on right now, and you can catch up fairly quickly. But a couple of the ones I put on here are specific runs, not something that's currently going on. But I guess I'll start with my number. There's no order to these, but first one being Batman. It's the best thing DC is publishing right now. You got the Court of Owls, which you can pick up volumes 1 and 2. That's one story right there. And I always recommend getting the soft cover because they're a little bit cheaper. And then volume 3 is Death of the Family, which is the entire Joker arc for that story. So you can just go 1, 2, pick up those, read the Talons. But if you want to just get one story, you can actually jump straight to volume 3 and you'll be fine. I also included Batman and Robin. This last year, 2014, they nailed it. They killed it with this Robin Rises stuff. But other than that, the first 2 arcs are just Batman learning how to become a dad and how to deal with it. If you like Batman at all, Batman and Robin should absolutely be on your pull list. And finally, Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern, the New 52. He's obviously done the Sinestro Corps War in the past, but the New 52 was really just his craft. Like, I enjoyed it the most. It focused so much on Sinestro, fleshed out the characters, and he gave it the perfect comic book ending. Not only the best ending to Green Lantern, possibly one of the best endings in comic books for any creator.
And he gave it an ending where it was like, now none of y'all can fuck up my shit.
Right.
This is how it's gonna be because I wrote the ending.
Yeah, he jumps straight into the future and he says, these characters, this is what happened to them. Okay, now you guys can play.
I agree with actually 2 of those. The Green Lantern run, absolutely amazing. I loved it from start to finish. I wasn't a big Green Lantern fan, but by the end of this I was.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. There were ups and there were downs and... fantastic. Also, Batman and Robin, for every reason that you said. I love seeing the progression of these 2 characters, and, you know, I keep going back to this issue because I think it's one of the best ones I've ever seen, is that silent issue.
Right.
And to be able to see so much emotion in a comic with no words, like, the rest of it could have been shit, and it would have made it better. Mm-hmm. My last one is actually Batgirl. So we saw some great stuff with Gail Simone. I believe that she reinvented this character and made her relevant again and made girls want to be her, which was awesome. And even the new things that they're doing with her now. Like, I would love to have her costume. That's on my list, too, yeah. of things to make. But she's such a fun and deep character. And, you know, I don't feel like before it was Batman and Batgirl. I feel like she's right on par with the rest of the Bat family now. And yeah, her name's Batgirl, but she'll kick your ass.
She will. I always like that Gail put that when she punches someone, she doesn't aim for their face. She aims for like 2 feet behind their head. So that way she is really giving it her full blow. And I thought that was like, holy shit, I never thought of that.
Right.
Just the detail that goes into how Batgirl thinks. Like, you never got that before, not to this level.
Exactly.
And also the diverse cast that Gail surrounded Barbara with. Like, you had someone there that was, you had your gay characters, you had your minority characters, and they were all there as fleshed out, full on, like, these could be real people. They weren't just there for the sake of diversity. They served the story, and that was awesome. So before we jump into our best of 2014, so we're going to do our overall picks later on. We do have a couple of things that we want to cover, news related to the podcast and the rest of Nerd Up Media. First one being that we are now on Florida Geek Scene. A lot of you could be listening to this podcast right now from floridageekscene.com, but they are a Florida-based website that showcases a lot of the local shows, a lot of the local websites, blogs, all of that on the website. And yeah, they're pretty huge. Every time I go to MegaCon, they always have several representatives out there. You've seen them, of course, yeah. Florida Geek Scene. They are at several of the panels that we end up going to. They ask questions, take down the answers. I mean, it's a serious group, and it's really, really awesome that Scott decided that, you know, The Reasons I'm Broke was a great podcast or a great addition to the Florida Geek Scene, and we thank you and all of the new listeners from Florida Geek Scene. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Hope you find something on the show to come back to every week.
For those of you who have been with us before, I know you've heard us talk about Hero Crate. We finally received ours. So we will be doing an unboxing hopefully later this week.
Yeah, we're going to figure out the best way to do the unboxing so you can all see what's the latest in the new Hero Crate. If you can't wait for the unboxing and you want your crate, head on over to herocrate.com. They offer it in single boxes, so no subscription required, and also in bundles of 3, in which you do actually save money on the crates if you get the bundle. Again, no subscription required. Like, that is right there.
Amazing,
awesome. Yeah. You can just get crate after crate, no problem. And right now, if you get the bundle and you put in the discount code DEFEND, you do get 10% off.
That's amazing.
So check it out on the site. There's always something new going on in terms of sales, and the crates are awesome. But again, we will be doing an unboxing on The Reasons I'm Broke. And there will be one also on The Read Pile, who is a part of our Nerd Up Media network. So again, HeroCrate.com. Make sure to follow them on Twitter at HeroCrate.
Before we move into our picks of the year, we would like to recommend our free Audible audiobook recommendation of the week.
Tons of sponsorships. If anyone ever types in the comments sellouts, I'm like, absolutely, hell yeah, sell out as quickly as possible. I've said it in the past. Any publisher wants to pay us to only review their books easily. Yeah, who's Batman? I don't care. But Audible is actually an awesome service because you do get a free audio book through Nerd Up Media. And we did pick out a good one. It relates to the video games that we were discussing earlier. Mm-hmm. This one is called Minecraft, The Unlikely Tale of Marcus Notch Pearson and the Game That Changed Everything.
Everything it changed.
Everything. This is like the reboot of video games.
The synopsis is, 3 years ago, 32-year-old Marcus Notch Pearson of Stockholm was an unknown and bored computer programmer. Today, he is a multi-millionaire international icon. Minecraft, the virtual Lego game Marcus crafted in his free time, has become one of the most talked about activities since Tetris.
Minecraft is fucking huge. It is massive, and you can learn all about how it got to that point with this for free. It's for free. Like, you get hours of just knowledge and learning and entertainment through this free audiobook.
The woman who left that man because he spent too much time sitting in front of his computer is kicking herself right now.
She is, especially because she now sees Minecraft all over the place. She
and
might
he's
be listening,
worth millions.
She's probably listening to the podcast now, and she's like, fuck, I can't escape this.
I'm glad
Damn you, Marcus.
Glad she found our podcast.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
I really... Don't kick yourself. It's okay. You'll find another man.
This audiobook is free with your trial when you sign up at audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia.
Our Brokettes get a free audiobook download of their choice along with a 30-day free trial. Again, that's audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia.
2014 has come and gone.
Woo! See you later, bye.
A year of comics.
Adios.
So we carefully picked out, we put out some categories on the different comics because you can't just talk about overall best book, although we will, there is one of them.
Yes.
But there is different categories in terms of the independent developers, the artists, the writers, all of that. So we're going to kind of build up to the best comic of 2014. We're going to start off with the first category, Best Indie Comic Series. So this is any series that is not DC or Marvel, part of the big two. And we're going to go down from third, second, and first place. So my third place for Best Indie Comic is actually Sex Criminals.
You've been hit by you've been struck by a sex criminal.
Yeah, it is the funniest book you will read. It's raunchy. Like, if you're easily offended, obviously don't read this, but you should fucking read this.
If dildos bother you, don't read this book.
If you're offended by the podcast, you're probably, you're not going to do well in this comic. But if you're good with the podcast, you're probably fine. We talk about all kinds of shit all the time. Yeah, Sex Criminals, for sure. It is awesome. Almost Rocket Girl was almost there, but just Sex Criminals, there's so much, that those letters at the end of the comic, I always say it, worth the $4 alone.
It is. It's a wonderful book. But it is not on my top 3. My number 3 is Anne Bonny. Because it's Kelli as Pirate.
It is. Yep, by Tim Yates. And it comes from Blue Juice Comics as well. Mm-hmm. Really fun series.
Absolutely. Tim creates a wonderful story. I'm so excited. There's going to be romance.
There is.
And romance is always the best. I love pirate stories and just the world he's created where it's pirates, but there's fantasy in there as well. So much fun. I wish this comic came out every week instead of once in a while, but 2015 will be great.
Patiently waiting, yeah. Mm-hmm. And well worth the wait.
Absolutely.
Second place for Best Indie Comic, for me, is Red Sonja. Mm-hmm. Gail Simone's book. I really wanted her to just continue doing this for years, but it looks like the Conan and Red Sonja book might be her last one for a while. But the 2 arcs that I've released so far, both solid. I bought both trades because they were great stories. If you haven't checked them out, if you want something different, if you've never read anything Red Sonja, don't worry about it, because Gail, she really makes it her own character, and it's gorgeous. Character. The art is amazing. It's a strong female character, and right now with a 3rd arc, I'm already hooked. Like, it's just so good.
My number 2 is Bee and Puppy Cat. Was not expecting a comic after this YouTube series. Loved it. It keeps with the feel of the show. It's always light and it's always fun. And I'm never disappointed when I read one.
Just a bunch of little stories and all very strong.
And they're adorbs. And it makes the show so much better for me when I watch it because I've seen what their little lives together are like.
Yeah.
So great.
And both are number 1s, actually.
Yeah.
The count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Saga.
Yep, Saga. Not hard to figure that one out.
Glad you put it as your number 1, sir. Glad you finally realize
Saga is awesome.
that I've been right this whole time.
The best independent comic book.
You should learn the husband lesson of your wife is always right.
No.
I'm pretty sure that's the husband lesson.
That's how husbands get whipped, and those are the guys I make fun of.
I'm pretty sure that you just say, yes, honey. And that's all you have to say to me for the rest of our lives together.
See, that's mistake number 1. Because there's no way they can get out of that. But Saga was great. It's a great series. It comes out, was it for 6 months, and then they take a break, usually 3 to 6 months, and then it continues.
Ignore the fact that at one time I said it was great, because it's not great. It is absolutely amazing, though. I say this every time, and I'll say it again, and I'm sorry, guys. They're all going, ugh, and they're going to quote me word for word. We're just going to speak it together. There has never been an issue that wasn't as good as the one before it. And you can't, you can't beat that.
When I pitch this to customers, I tell them it's got romance, it's got action, it's got gore, it's got sex, it's got everything. There's going to be something in that one single comic that everybody. You will enjoy. Absolutely. There's even kids in it. If you like babies and kids, they're in there. Like, everything is in there. It's a family story. It's a single relationship story because there's characters for every bit. There's gay stories in there. All of it's in there. Alien stories, interspecies stories.
Well, and they do such a great job that characters, those 2 gay characters, we haven't seen them for like 6 months. And they came back in one of them, and I knew exactly who they were.
Right. They're all so different and personified perfectly that when you pick up the next issue, like you said, I know exactly who they are. You don't have to go back and let me get that first trade and find out who this is. And people die that you care about, and it's just, it almost seems like this could never end, and it would always continue in its consistency. And so far it has been. Like you said, there hasn't been that one issue that's disappointed you.
Exactly.
And we've even said, even if there is that one, like you still said, and I got how many fucking issues of amazing? Like, they can stumble as many times as they want. Like, it's been so great.
But don't try and stumble, guys. Keep it up.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Don't let whatever we said change anything.
I want them to be like, no, just print some shit on the page.
We're going to get paid anyway. So we're going to move into the Marvel category.
The best Marvel comic series. Again, 3, 2, and 1. I will start out with Superior Spider-Man.
It counts, yeah. It returned in 2014.
This was awesome, again, to see Doc Ock. Great as always. Watching the changes that he went through trying to become Spider-Man. Loved it. Everything about the series was great. Glad they're keeping him a little bit in Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a hell of a way to kick off Spider-Verse with Doc Ock Spider-Man, one of our favorite Spider-Man. And yeah, I was really happy to see that return. It was shocking. It was a surprise, and I immediately added it back on my sub because I thought it was just a done series. And yeah, we got a couple more issues out of it, and the characters sticking around for at least Spider-Verse. My number 3 was also a Spider-Man book. However, it was Miles Morales' Ultimate Spider-Man. And this character Brian Michael Bendis has really made this a completely different Spider-Man than the rest of them. It's gotten to the point now where you can make several movies out of this kid's story. You can make a TV show around him. And I don't know what the legalities are behind Marvel and Spider-Man, but if they can use Miles in place of Peter in the Avengers, I think they would be okay. Because this is a character now that can carry his own story and his own movie. And, you've read it as well. There's so much you can do with him.
Absolutely. I think he's wonderful. I never liked Peter Parker. Like, you're so boring, Peter Parker. But this kid is great, and he's so diverse ethnically. But I think he's somebody that people can relate to. Like, he's just a kid who's just having fun, and it's great. I mean, he's got his great friends who was gay for him, and then that suddenly disappeared.
Yeah, suddenly he likes Gwen. Well, maybe Gwen Stacy makes gay men straight.
Oh, well, maybe. Good for her.
Possibly.
Good for her. But
he'll come back to him, though.
Okay, good. like you said, there's so much they can do with him. I think this would be Spider-Man for a lot of people growing up now, not Peter Parker.
I agree. Yeah, I have. When this first came out, of course, I worked at the comic shop at the time, and there were a lot of people coming in like, oh, so they made Spider-Man black now, or they made him Latino now? It's like, no, there's an ultimate. Peter Parker's still around. You have your Spider-Man. This is a different Spider-Man from the Ultimate Universe. Well, I heard they killed off Peter. Yeah, you will never, like, I cannot explain it to you. You want to be upset, so no matter what I say, you're just going to stay upset at.
Exactly.
But then it was all worth it because I did have, younger readers from all genders and races that came in, and they were like, yeah, I want to read about this new Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Like, I want to, it's a character that I can relate to. I had one kid tell me, like, this is a Spider-Man that actually looks like me. And I was like, this is perfect. Like, just for this one experience alone, it's all worth it.
Right.
So I think it's just a wonderful character to have.
Mm-hmm. My number 2 pick is She-Hulk.
Same here. We both had the same number 2, She-Hulk.
Yep. I did not know what to expect with this series. Again, I didn't know anything about She-Hulk, but they've knocked it out of the park. She is a great, fun character. The book is so intelligent. I mean, you can tell it's written by a lawyer.
Yes, but it's not so like cold and calculating that it's not entertaining. Charles Soule like just has that perfect balance between the two.
Exactly. It's a great book. If you guys haven't checked it out, please do. It's wonderful. I'm sad that it's ending.
Yeah, me too. But it had a good run. It'll have 2 traits, which you'll be able to pick up very soon. And both are number 1. Again, we agreed.
This is my number 1. You can't take my number 1.
I took it.
I like this book better than you do, though.
Yes, I can admit that.
Okay, then.
Yeah, you definitely appreciate this book way more than I do, but I still love it. I adore the comic. And that is Silver Surfer.
Yes. Fantastic. I love the art in this book. I love the love story. I love the love story so much. Surfer and Dawn forever.
They got you from that first comic.
Yes, they did.
That one page where he sees every possibility ever.
And it's his life with her. And then they die together just like the Notebook.
They die together and then they split up and she hates him in this one. But then they have a kid in this one and he has little silver hair.
It's perfect. It's amazing.
And that's when he's like, who is this woman?
I love it. I love that throughout this comic we're getting to see a slow progression of them falling in love. They're just, right now they're just friends who enjoy spending time together and want to explore.
Well, they're dating now as of the last issue.
Now they're dating, yes. But I mean, that's what it started out as.
Right.
Like, they had to come together to get out of a situation and it clicked and they said, let's go on an adventure and just be BFFs. And now they're falling in love and...
She's warming his heart, too.
Exactly. And, it's just so good. I'll warm your heart, Silver Surfer. Take me to space.
Like that moment where he says, I'm never going to silver down again for any of this fucking nonsense. And then when it came to a moment in which it might have meant never seeing her again, he silvers down, which could have meant his death too, to save her. And that's where we left off. And it's just, holy shit.
So good.
Damn it, Dan Slott. Is this better than his Spider-Man run, the Superior Spider-Man? I mean, it has to be.
I think so.
Superior was your number 3.
Yes,
yeah.
I think so.
It's awesome. Pick up Silver Surfer. If you're not a fan of the art, the story is more than enough to carry you through it.
Next up, we have our best DC comic series.
Yep. People that have longtime listeners are probably going to guess most of these already.
Probably.
So we'll start off with both our number 3. We agreed on this one as well.
Oh, we did. Good for us.
This was Batgirl.
Batgirl. Absolutely. Gail Simone's done a great job. Like we said earlier, this new run is awesome. Batgirl, like I said, is a relevant character again.
And then with the new arc, they did this independent comic spin to it, which isn't the only DC comic that they've tried this with. We've got that with Arkham Manor and Gotham Academy as well. Whenever they try something new, something different, see what sticks, I'm all for it. I'm not so much of a purist that I won't give it a shot just because it's a little different. I'll give it its fair ride, and if I enjoy the story, cool. If not, I can move on. But yeah, so far, Batgirl has been very enjoyable, even with the new team. Carried us through. We left it on our subscription. Solid number 3 pick.
I definitely think it appeals to younger readers, too, because it's all about social media.
Yeah.
I read this book and I'm like, I want to take selfies. I want to post on Pictogram or whatever they call it in there.
Yeah, like some of that, it's like I'm probably a little too old for, but I can still enjoy the fun nature of the entire book, just how light
young.
It is.
Okay, this is a big birthday year for me. It's all downhill after this. I'm not looking forward to this year.
So whose number 2 should we go with next?
We can go with your number 2.
My number 2 is, of course, Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder and FCO Placencia and Danny Mickey's Batman. Batman, we had 0 Year last year, and now we have Endgame, which I'm enjoying Endgame more than 0 Year. And
only because it's spooky.
It's very scary. The Joker's incredibly dangerous. Anytime he comes in, you know something terrible is going to happen. Nothing's going to be the same at the end, and we're getting the same of that this time. The only reason it's my number 2 and not my number 1, I felt like 0 Year went on a little bit too long, even though it was broken up into 3 different stories. It was still excellent. I loved the new origin to Batman, the reimagining, some of the new, like, refreshing villains to it. But it still wasn't as good as, say, The Court of Owls or The Death of the Family. Again, still really good, but not quite up to that level. And now Endgame looks like it is returning back to that upswing.
My number 2, big shocker, guys, is Little Gotham by Dustin Nguyen.
That was, early 2014.
Yes,
counts.
early this year, and I will go back to Little Gotham for everything as being one of my favorite series ever. I love Little Gotham. It appealed to everything that I adore. Batman peoples, cute little things, Dustin Nguyen. Batman and Catwoman went on a cruise. It was amazing. They were clearly in love because they were on vacation together. He didn't go on vacation with Talia.
True.
He showed up for a reluctant turkey dinner.
It wasn't reluctant.
It was reluctant.
Dustin Nguyen does have an original story coming out in March. If it is in your previews catalog now, Image, I believe, is publishing it. So that may be on your best indie series when we do it at the end of 2015.
Yeah, we'll see.
And my number 1 DC comic of 2014 is Batman and Robin. We had the whole Robin Rises thing going on. We had the search for Robin's body. It was just, I loved all of that. And it was just eked out Batman. Like, all the stuff that happened with Batman, and one, he got to accept his son's death, but then he had to go and take his son back, and that moment in which we do see them finally reunite. It's a beautiful closing to their entire everything they did in 2014, and I really can't wait to see how Batman now has to sort of reteach Damian, and with all this brand new stuff that he has now, these superpowers. Like, I heard someone say, oh great, he has superpowers now? Like, what kind of gimmick is this? But think about it, if you've been reading Batman and Robin to this point, the best stuff is just them growing together, like as father and son, and you're going to get way more of that on a bigger scale now, because this is huge power at Damian's hands, and we all know Damian is arrogant, and he will try to do what's most efficient, and Batman slowly has to break him of that and teach him to do things the Batman way.
I want Superman to show up and be like, hello, I can help.
I can restrain him if I need to.
Or I can restrain you. I agree, it is a great run. I'm glad Damian's back. It's like they undid everything that Grant Morrison did.
Oh yeah. They're like, yeah, he's dead, fuck you, he's back now. Because he's a good character. You wanted to kill him because we made him better? What's the deal?
And my number 1 DC Comics series of the year was Harley Quinn with Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti.
I did not expect this.
Why not?
I don't know. I thought maybe Batman would have been your number 1, or if anything, Lil Gotham, but Harley Quinn.
Here's what I like about this comic. I feel with New 52, they had ruined my Harley. She was just,
You're talking about the half blue hair, half
I mean, that
red hair.
How she is in Suicide Squad, and just everything. That wasn't Harley Quinn.
Her permanent bleach skin.
Yeah, I don't even... That was not Harley Quinn for me anymore. And as most of you listeners know, Harley Quinn is like one of my favorite characters. I loved what Dee made and Bruce Timm, and from the
Arlene
animated
Sorkin.
series, she was fabulous. And she was just destroyed.
Yeah, you're very protective of Harley Quinn.
I am. I love Harley Quinn. But I feel like Jimmy and Amanda went, okay, this is what we have
to work with.
Now let's make her what she should be. Mm-hmm. And so she still has the dyed hair and the bleached skin and the, weird costumes, but she's Harley again. At her very core, she's the Harley Quinn that I fell in love with. And they brought that back, and I can't be grateful enough for that.
Not only did they bring her back, but they sort of made it a little more adult as well. So they kind of brought her to the maturity level to adult. So you do have like
she's kissing girls. Yeah, why not?
raunchier sex jokes and just literal shit in the comics
Hilarious.
sometimes.
They make her also, because I don't like Harley away from the Joker. A lot of times, I feel she is best when she's his henchwoman.
Mm-hmm. Like his tool, right?
Exactly. But they've pulled her away from the Joker and still not broken that feeling that I get from that. She's still got her friends. She's still doing things. It doesn't feel like the 2000 Harley comic where she was all on her own, which I did enjoy also. It's my Harley again. That's why it's my favorite. Some of the others may have had better stories, but they brought back the character that I love.
That's a very good number one choice then. They even found a way to bring back Harleen Quinzel, the psychiatrist. Like they're like, oh, she just puts on makeup and dyes her hair. Whatever. She is back. Here she is. Like it's yeah, you're right. They're just undoing whatever happened in the New 52. What do you think about the new thing that Harley's doing where she's breaking the fourth wall? That's not something Harley used to do.
Right. I love it. I think it's hilarious. Why not? She talks to herself anyway. She's crazy.
I like when she's like, we're running out of gimmicks for these one-shots.
It's even the Harley Quinn #1 that we had with all the different artists. Oh man, it was great. It was wonderful.
Oh, the number 0 issue?
Yes. I loved it. It was so good.
And they did something very similar with the holiday special. 3 different artists. Yep. And yeah, it was enjoyable as hell.
And I submitted that fantastic artwork and they didn't choose it.
It didn't want to make everyone else jealous.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Gail Simone retweeted it.
That whale was real good looking.
Yep.
Did you see her in that chicken suit?
Yeah, very well defined. I like the shadowing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And the line work was fabulous.
I worked very... I'm a terrible artist. I think a kindergartner could do better than I did.
But Gail liked it. She retweeted it and liked it.
I like Gail too, so I guess we're friends now.
All right, so we got a couple more categories here. Best collectible. So this can include figurines, toys, statues, posters, whatever collectible came out in 2014. Same format, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place. We'll start off with my number 3 pick. That was the Batman Low Gotham figurines.
Didn't sing that right.
Low Gotham figurines. Yeah, they actually look like they're watercolored, just like Dustin Nguyen's signature artwork. They have the right anatomy, just like he did. They come with amazing accessories, like the little hyenas for Joker and Harley, the Batarang for Batman, the Joker doll as well for Harley. I love that too. I mean, these are... And the packaging has his original artwork on there. You just don't want to open these things. They make such a beautiful display.
Absolutely. That is my number 3 pick as well. We all know that I love Little Gotham to pieces because Dustin Nguyen is awesome. But I haven't opened any of them, and I want to because I want to play with them. But I don't want to open them because they're beautiful and they're perfect. Love these things.
Hopefully we see a series 2 of either the comic or the figurines.
Or both.
There's tons they can still do with it.
Absolutely.
Give me a holiday run of these guys. Like do like Santa Batman or...
Harley and her Santa suit.
Yes.
Can I tell you how badly I want to make that too? I want to make that
now.
So badly. I need to learn how to use my sewing machine first.
Okay, that'll be like the 4th project. That way it's really good.
Do I need to get string to put in the
fishing wire,
needle?
actually.
Fishing wire.
So we both had the same number 3. My number 2 was Batman, the new Batman Adventures action figure. I'm speaking of the Batman himself. We did an unboxing for it. It is the Season 4 Batman. If Season 1 through 3 had come out, which is set to release this year, that would have been my number 2. But this one is such a great looking Batman. All the different points of articulation that you can do with him. It comes with the base, so you can actually stand him up as you would any Bruce Timm design. They got the tiny feet, so obviously not feasible, but you can do it with the stand that comes with the character designs on them. All sorts of figurine or accessories for the head, different capes, different hands, batarangs. It's just all there. It's the perfect Batman figurine, the figurine that I would have wanted growing up.
My number 2 pick is the Harley Quinn bombshell statue. This is a gorgeous statue. I love the colors. I love the detail. We did an unboxing for this one as well.
We did. It's got thousands of views.
I love this too, though, because of her. I loved all the bombshells, but of course I love Harley, and I love her design and I want to wear that costume too.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make that costume too?
You probably can.
Okay, then. I love that Jimmy and Amanda worked it into the comic.
Yes.
Also,
Yeah.
her design. That was great. Just the statue itself was so much fun, and it just embodies Harley, and it's beautiful.
And if you want a holiday variant to it, they did actually make one for her as well, where she has like the green and red Christmas colors, and then she's also got like a little, like a Santa bag with like Batman and Robin's cowl in there.
Oh,
So they did
that's so
some changes
cool.
to it. So yeah, there's two versions of the Bombshell variant. They've got the Bombshell design on posters, on mugs, and pint glasses.
Oh,
She's
it's
all over
everywhere.
the place. Aunt Lucia did an awesome job. My number one collectible of 2014 is actually yours as well.
Yep.
The Harley Quinn Bruce Timm black and white statue. Straight out of the cover from Mad Love.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful piece. Looks exactly... It's designed by Bruce Timm. And yeah, he has the smoking gun and everything. It's just the... Yeah, it's the best Harley Quinn statue to date.
I agree. The Bruce Timm design will always be my favorite. And the statue is just perfect. They actually came out with the second run of it too, where the colors are a little lighter. Not as nice. I mean, it's still nice. If you can find that one, definitely pick it up. This was amazing.
Yeah, they've done a great job with the Batman black and whites. I like that they've been doing other characters aside from just Batman, although Batman's great too, but we wouldn't have had this Harley Quinn otherwise. And we look forward to the Batgirl one that's coming out later on this year, based on the new costume design.
Yes, that one's beautiful. Ugh. So, reasons were broke, man.
Yep.
I wondered, like, you know, the bottom of your check, it shows you how much you made this year. And you always wonder where it went. Now I know where it went. I'm glad we did this.
So next we have the best new series. So these are comics that actually debuted in 2014. So stuff like Batgirl cannot count, even though it had a new creative team. I guess we'll start with you this time
Mine was She-Hulk.
for your number 3.
Yep, number
Best new
3
series,
is
yeah.
She-Hulk. Like I said earlier, very intelligent comic. Was not expecting what I got out of it. It's fantastic.
My number 3 is actually Batman Eternal. While I haven't been picking it up every week, because it is an expensive book, one of the perks of working at a comic book shop is that I can occasionally check out a couple of these comics. And yeah, I've been doing my best to keep up with Batman Eternal, and all the stuff they've been doing there has been really solid. Return of Hush, that's great. Penny 2 is one of my favorite brand new characters. That's Alfred Pennyworth's daughter. And we do actually buy a couple of issues every now and again based on who the artist is or who the writer is. And as far as a weekly goes, I did not think that they can actually sustain a weekly and have it be successful and good. Yeah, it's awesome, and it's actually getting a second year, and I'm really
That's
happy
awesome.
about that.
Next is actually both of our number 2 picks. Bee and Puppycat.
Yeah, we said it before, it's just based on a great cartoon, and the comic continues while doing its own thing. We're happy with all the different covers that they come out with.
Puppycat's always grumpy.
Always grumpy and punching Bee sometimes in the face and knocking shit over for no reason.
He's great. Such a great character.
Very, very upset cat.
Puppycat.
Puppycat, you're right. And both our number 1 as well is Silver Surfer.
Yes, of course. Love story.
Came out in 2014, and yeah, the best series that came out last year that released and started in 2014.
We stopped doing our covers.
Yeah, we gotta start doing that
Oh
again.
man, those were so much fun.
We replaced Dawn's head with mine and Silver Surfer's with yours.
It was perfect. Next up, we have our best artist. Again, third, second, and finally first. We'll start out with mine. I have Greg Capullo from Batman.
Great choice. A little lower than what I would have put him.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, his design for the Joker was phenomenal. The stuff he did in Zero Year with the city and how it was all overgrown, and it's just beautiful. All the covers he did too.
You can tell he put so much time into his work.
Oh yeah. And now the covers from Endgame, like the Superman with the Joker face, like that's going to go down as one of the most iconic covers in probably the Endgame run, and possibly definitely in the top 5 covers of his entire Batman run. My number 3 artist was actually Fiona Staples from Saga.
A little bit lower than I would have put them.
Yep. Yeah, she's killing it. Like, she's knocking it out of the park with Saga. I'm glad they're taking that break to keep fresh on it, and it shows in the comic. Like, everything is very diligent, everything is clean, and it flows well from panel to panel. The emotions.
Everything's very creative in it too. Just things that I never would have thought of.
Right, and even the facial expressions match what is going on in the scene, like in ways that you've never seen in a comic.
That's why Fiona Staples is my number 2 for Saga.
All right.
Because you gotta, I don't know, put her number 3.
And Greg Capullo is my number 2. So you were close.
No.
You were close.
You were close. Almost there, but not quite. Just fell short.
But yeah, those are our reasons for 3 and 2 on both of ours. Just had them flip-flopped. But completely different number 1 artist.
Yes, absolutely. My number 1 is Dustin Nguyen.
From Lil Gotham.
Dustin Nguyen.
So glad he's getting a series this year because he'll probably be your number 1 for 2015.
You know what? You always act like you know me. Giving me these faces like, ugh, whatever.
Yeah, Dustin Nguyen was great. He did some good work in Superman Unchained as well. It's not just Lil Gotham. Did a lot of pages in Batman Eternal. And also did some stuff for one of the Batman comics.
Yeah, I thought it was Batman Beyond. Was it not?
He's done some Batman Beyond
in
work
the past.
too. Yep, absolutely.
Yep, but I always love his artwork. I've loved it since Streets of Gotham. So iconic. I love following him. I follow him on DeviantArt and Tumblr, and he'll post stuff up there all the time that's Batman related, but not necessarily from the comics. And it's just so amazing. It hits me right in the feels. He's got this Mr. Freeze. Ugh, heartbroken.
Tattoo worthy, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
My number 1 is Pat Gleason from Batman and Robin. When I met him, he's a really nice guy. I met him at C2E2 a couple years ago. But on top of that, his work is just astounding. The reason I put him right above Greg Capullo is, yes, it's a little... I can't even compare the two. That's the problem with ranking these. I think part of it too, it goes with how much I enjoyed the way they built the book and crafted it, and what he did with Batman and showing his progression as he grew to accept Damien's death, and then as he went in to resurrect his son and get him back. All of that, just all of it is done flawlessly. I don't think there's one issue where I felt like he didn't give it his best, didn't give it his 100%. And Greg Capullo is the same way too. But Pat Gleason, he just made the book wonderful and just barely inched out Greg Capullo this for 2014.
Next up, we have our best writers.
Best writer, yep, 2 more categories left. So what makes the book the skeleton of the entire story? My number 3 pick is actually Matt Fraction from Sex Criminals.
Okay. It was a great series. As we just keep, like, all our favorite comics. Just all, I don't want to reiterate too much, but like you said, hilarious book.
Yeah, I should include Chip Zdarsky as well, because they work so close together to make the story. So yeah, Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky.
But if dildos offend you, don't read this book.
No.
My number 3 is Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti for their work on Harley Quinn, bringing back my Harley guys.
My number 2 is Brian K. Vaughan for Saga.
A little low there.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure. You sure you don't want to try that one again?
No, I'm sure. I'm going to lock my answer in.
What is this? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Okay, Regis.
Oh, that would have meant I would have only maybe gotten one wrong.
Just anyway.
All of mine have been correct so far.
We're going on to my number 2 now.
Your number 2.
Because your number 2 is wrong. So now we're going to my number 2. So I can tell you the right answer for your number 2 pick. Mine is Gail Simone for her work on both Red Sonja and Batgirl. Brought these 2 characters out of nowhere. Made them relatable to women everywhere. Made it great for men or women to read her comics. And not just because they were in bikinis and spandex.
And my number 1 writer is Peter J. Tomasi for Batman and Robin.
Brian K. Vaughan was your number 1? And
no,
Peter
it's pronounced Peter J. Tomasi.
Brian K. Vaughan.
So you're looking at my number 2.
No. I'm looking at your number 1. Actually, I'm looking at my number 1, which is Brian K. Vaughan for Saga. But it should also be your number 1.
Well, yeah, Peter J. Tomasi, it's just... what he did for Batman and Robin, and he and Pat Gleason, you can't separate the two. They just did some amazing stuff with the two. And it obviously reflects with my best DC book, and we're moving on to best overall comic series.
Your number 2 writer. My number 1 writer is Brian K. Vaughan, no surprise.
Right.
For Saga. Again, amazing.
So that should make this next part really easy.
Very easy.
Best overall comic series of 2014, third, second, and first place. But this combines all of the publishers, Marvel, DC, and the independent publishers. My number 3 is actually a Marvel book, Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer was my third favorite comic of last year. It's beautiful for all the reasons we gave earlier, and I cannot wait for more. I hope it goes on forever.
My number 3 pick is Red Sonja, for every reason that we've given throughout this entire podcast.
Almost my number 3. It's so good, Red Sonja.
Wonderful. I've laughed, I've cried, I felt like I was friends with all the characters that we met along the way. Love it.
My number 2 is Batman from Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder.
My number 2 is Silver Surfer. Love story. Can that just be my answer for everything? Love story.
Well, it will be for your number 1. And my number 1...
You act like you know me.
Based on the writer and based on the artist that you heard earlier, Batman and Robin. Best book DC published of 2014.
And my number 1 pick is Saga. Best book anything published in 2014. What now, Saga?
So there you go. There's our full picks for 2014. Authors, artists, everything. We do want to again thank all the Brokettes out there for submitting your questions. Hopefully you heard some stuff that you agreed with, and maybe the stuff you disagreed with, like my Lord of the Rings or the Avengers, didn't scare you off too much.
They forgot about it. Now they're going to unsubscribe because you reminded them.
They were used to it, because I've definitely mentioned that shit before. Like, yeah, we know you don't like the Avengers. And also we want to thank Florida Geek Scene for having us on their website, and we're very happy to partner up with them, all of us at Nerd Up Media as well. And Hero Crate for sending us the crate to do the unboxing, which we will do very soon. We're very excited for.
Yep, keep following us on Twitter. You'll see updates for when we post that unboxing, and also up on YouTube. Yeah,
be sure to head on over to nerdupmedia.com. There's a couple of things you can do there. If you enjoyed the show, you can leave us a review through iTunes or on Stitcher. The links are right there on nerdupmedia.com. And also, we have a shop now where you can get a t-shirt with the Nerd Up Media logo. Let everyone you know, your friends, family know nerdupmedia.com exists, and here are these great shows.
For just a donation of $16.99, you can choose a shirt. It comes in a variety of different colors, both men's and women's sizes, and you can show your support. It's mailed with love.
Includes the shipping.
Yes.
So that's $16.99 flat.
But guys, that will do it for our podcast this week. We hope you all had a fantastic, safe New Year's. Please get over your hangover soon. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
We'll see you next time.